Every $1 billion brand is in a relationship, and that is the whole reason that they grow like they do. When you're in a relationship, you make a choice to commit to them and no one else. No easy thing to do when there are so many fish in the sea, but that commitment is the key that changes everything. When your partner knows that you're all in, magic happens. They become invested in helping you achieve your goals. They sing your praises to their friends. They brag about you online. They forgive you when you mess up, and they don't leave the second that someone new shows up. That loyalty becomes a moat that no crazy sale or new PPC campaign or beautiful branding can break. Grüns, Rhode Skin, and Liquid Death are all in committed relationships. I've spent years obsessing over what drives e-commerce success, and I've studied every brand that's crossed $1 billion. These three tell the story of what they all have in common. And it is those relationships that have fueled their explosive growth, taking them from just another supplement or lip balm or water company into the world's top e-commerce brands. In this video, we'll be breaking down how the best brands in the world build these 10-figure relationships so that you'll be able to look at any brand, including your own, and know which one you're looking at. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Emma, and I've spent the last decade of my life obsessing over e-commerce. I've worked with over 3,000 businesses and helped them generate hundreds of millions of dollars. Every relationship, at least the healthy ones, start the same way. In order to see where Unilever's April 2026 $1.2 billion acquisition began, I want to take you back to 2011. Now, everyone throughout my entire life always told me that I should be a lawyer. And I even got as far as an internship with the Missouri Attorney General's office and a job offer for a lobbyist firm before I backed out and decided to teach English in Spain. But I wasn't leaving until the fall. So for most of 2011, I worked at a natural food store, which means I was standing in a supplement aisle watching the entire category get built. Now, back then, it wasn't TikTok influencers that was driving sales. Dr. Oz had the ability to sell out whole products and back order them for months with a single recommendation. And at that time, Amazing Grass was the whole food green supplement that was dominating the category. Newcomers like Athletic Greens were more or less the same and were exclusively online. Fast forward 12 years to 2023 and Grüns entered the scene. Now, Grüns was greens, but it's a gummy. However, a gummy is not sticky enough on its own to drive a $1 billion exit. Grüns is exhibiting the first key component of a $1 billion relationship, and that is main character energy. So Grüns takes an innovation about the delivery of the product itself and expands that into a very bold, clearly defined brand identity. They were not trying to be like their Amazing Grass elders. They were the newer, cooler kid on the block. They actually modeled themselves off of Dr. Squat, meaning that they weren't even using other brands in their category as aspiration for where they were trying to build. Founder Chad Janis specifically said the goal was for people to associate the brand with who they are, not what it does for them. Now, Amazing Grass was founded in 2002. So when I say main character energy, what I'm talking about is this bold ownership and clarity in who you are as a business, who you are trying to be, not just trying to model yourself over the top brands that are currently dominating your category, but really doing that deep introspective work to carve out a unique identity that is going to separate you from all the other eligible bachelors or bachelorettes out there. And in order to build a successful relationship, the first step that you have to take, you have to dig in and you have to do all all the internal cleaning and know who you are. The same goes for brands. So if you go to Grüns.co, you see a very clear idea of who this brand is trying to be. Just in little details of language, it says so much. We made daily nutrition like ridiculously easy. 1 million members. We've been getting around. Just a few little quips like that really sum up the essence of who Grüns is trying to be. Very clearly geared towards a younger generation and hip, cool, talking like a real person, not like a contrived brand, not just trying to be like everyone else. Should we give Grüns a taste? I feel like might be fun to actually see what they're about. First of all, adorable little packages, fresh and sweet taste, and they have even the mascot, which is, their gummies are this little bear shape. Now, I will say that the first experience I got in opening the bag and the whiff that greeted my nostrils was very reminiscent of Flintstones vitamins. In fact, I'm still getting an occasional breeze of that, which I'm not sure how I feel. I was maybe one of the few people that was not so into Flintstones gummies, but Flintstones vitamins, kids, we did not have gummies when I was growing up. We had to eat chalky vitamins. And I realize that some people have a nostalgic memory for that and miss that, but I really wish that I would have grown up in the gummy vitamin era. So here's a Grüns. It's giving fruit leather and a little grainy. Not terrible, but I honestly think I personally would prefer a different vehicle, even if it's just a capsule or a green juice. But I am not the intended audience for this product. In fact, that's a little teaser for the second key component of a billion-dollar relationship. But before we get there, I just want to really paint this picture for you a little bit broader. Grüns was founded in 2023. 32 months later, they sold for $1.2 billion. And you can also really see the impact that they have made on the entire category, because now when I go to the Amazing Grass website, it looks like a totally different company. And it's obvious that they have been very inspired by Grüns' success. So the thing is, when you do this really, really well, you're gonna get copycats, and that's not something to be troubled by. That is a sign that you're actually moving in the right direction, that you are onto something big, that people see that opportunity, and then they're just like copycats gonna try to chase after you. So the goal is to build a brand with a capital B, a brand that is so clear in who it is, so confident in what they stand for, so bold to be different that everybody else takes notice. And that is how you do main character energy. But it's not enough, because if you're just main character and you're not thinking about anybody else, then you might be spending a lot of time alone. So for the second key component of a billion-dollar relationship, you need to crush hard on your customers. And I'm not just saying to show them adoration and affection, but if you want to crush really hard, then you need to do this one thing exceptionally well. And that is something that Rhode has done really, really well. Now, Rhode is Hailey Bieber's brand. It was founded in 2022, and in 2025, with just 10 products in their catalog, they sold for $1 billion to e.l.f. Cosmetics. And let me tell you, LinkedIn was aflutter with this news. Everybody talking about what a big mistake e.l.f. had made, that this was just an overvalued celebrity brand. How could this possibly be something that was going to be a good return on investment? They thought it was a dud, but Miss Bieber seems to have proved all of those LinkedIn negative Nancys wrong. They have surpassed their revenue goals with $390 million in net sales and over $500 million in global retail sales, representing an 80% year-over-year growth. And if that wasn't enough, they exceeded expectations so much that their performance triggered a $57.6 million earnout adjustment because Rhode blew past the initial targets set during acquisition. Not only that, but Rhode's rapid scaling has forced its parent company, e.l.f., to repeatedly raise its overall corporate profit and sales forecasts throughout the fiscal year. Now, you might be saying, is probably just TikTok, because like Grüns, Rhode is for a little bit of a younger generation, definitely the TikTok era. However, interestingly enough, Rhode is really not very active on TikTok, largely because it does not offer commissions to creators. And creators that are looking to earn affiliate money on TikTok Shop are going to be much more attracted to brands that are paying out really good commissions versus making a video where they're literally not going to earn anything at all. So of course it can get buzz, but it's not being supported by this artificial creation of high sales volumes through lots of affiliate buzz. Should we try the Rhode? Okay. So I was torn between this or just the plain lip balm. I figured I have enough lip balms, so let's try the peptide lip tint, which I believe is the second product that she launched in her brand. And it's just a little squeezy tube with some lightly tinted glossy lip treatment. No fragrance, can't really see what it looks like in my tiny little viewfinder, and it feels fine. Not sure that it's anything particularly special, but I am not the target customer. Now, Hailey Bieber is a very polarizing figure. There are armies of Selena Gomez fans who are still upset about the Selena-Justin breakup and who look at Hailey as the villain. But that doesn't matter because Rhode knows exactly who their customers are. They're not worried about changing the minds of all of those Hailey haters out there. They are focused and locked in on who they are serving. She doubles down on her fans. And I know what you might be thinking right now, but this isn't just for brands with big celebrities attached to them or huge budgets. I had a client years ago whose daughter was a ballerina, and she had a very specific problem that this father and daughter looked everywhere. They could not find a solution, so the father wanted to help her solve it. So he knew exactly who he was designing this product for when he came to me, and I looked at his product page and it could have been from any of his competitors. Durable, high quality, trusted by professionals. Not one word about her. Not any specificity about the use case behind this and the person who it was designed for. It was made for one person, but then it was marketed to everyone. So we rebuilt that product page to speak to the ballerina that it was made for. After that, it was the exact same product, the same price, but sales tripled. This is probably one of the most common mistakes that I see and one of the easiest to solve. Most people, when you ask them, know who they're selling to, but they're too afraid to put it on the page. If that's you, use the link below and we would be happy to take a look at your brand. Now, Hailey Bieber, she knows exactly who her customers are, and she is unafraid to speak to them and only them. That is not limiting her growth. That is what has turbocharged her brand growth and proved all of the LinkedIn naysayers wrong. Hailey Bieber and Rhode as a whole know exactly who their customers are, and they speak to them in their content, in their website, in their product development, and even in their display at Sephora. But it's the third piece that ties these two moves together to really unlock that billion-dollar growth. And this is probably the hardest and scariest piece. If you want a healthy relationship, you have to make it official. You have to demonstrate your commitment, that you are in it to win it in this partnership. Now, this independently held company knows a thing or two about enemy. While Rhode may turn a cold shoulder to the haters, playing a bit of a too cool to even be bothered by them, Liquid Death leans into the dialogue, the good and the bad, to the tune of a $1.4 billion valuation. And you know, I'm getting a little parched, so I'm gonna crack open a Liquid Death artesian water. Not good at opening cans. One of the key components of a committed relationship is dialogue. When you make it official, you know who is in your partnership, and who you don't have to be worried about their opinions or ideas. And Liquid Death does this in a few really interesting ways. First being is that they lean into the haters. So they famously took brutal, real hate comments left on their social media, and they hired a real metal band to record them word for word, releasing multiple full-length streaming albums called Greatest Hits. Of course, this got people talking. This generated a lot of dialogue. Fans realized that leaving unhinged comments could get them featured on a Billboard charting comedy album. By weaponizing internet hate, Liquid Death closed the loop between critic and creator and made their core customer base feel like they were in on a massive inside joke. And you know how special it feels to be getting something that everyone else doesn't. That's a sign of a strong friendship or relationship, to have your special vernacular and story references and everything that put you into your own world from everyone else. And Liquid Death has done this on a huge scale. But that's not all. When they were threatened with a trademark lawsuit over their Armless Palmer iced tea, they didn't issue a boring corporate apology that would have potentially even pushed customers away. Instead, they publicly renamed the flavor Dead Billionaire in blatant mockery, which drove massive organic viral support from fans who love their anti-corporate energy. So these types of situations for other brands that don't know who they are, that don't know who their customers are, when you are in a committed relationship with your customers, you transform these kinds of situations that could be potential business killers into opportunities to drive more growth, because you've done the work to really clearly define who you are, and you know exactly who your customer is and what they love about you, and you really embrace that, and you go all in on it, and you make that commitment that you are focused above and beyond on delighting that customer, even to the exclusion of everybody else, maybe even because of the exclusion of everybody else. You generate this loyalty, you generate this commitment, you generate this us against them, that we're in it together, we've got your back mentality. That is what can really take every single thing that you're doing, the good and the bad, and amplify it, give it this momentum that takes you from a brand that's maybe stuck, that's maybe not all that unique. We're not talking about revolutionary items here. I mean, this is water. This is their flagship product, which is not flavored. It's just literally a can of water that looks cool, that looks like beard. Hailey Bieber's product feels nice on my lips, but it's not some sort of revolutionary delivery or amazing formula or color that I've never seen before. And Grüns, like, this is a fun way to take a healthy supplement, but I wouldn't say it's something that I'm going to be excited to rip open tomorrow and indulge in. It still tastes like a vitamin. However, because they know who they are, because they know who their customers are, and because they are so committed with that vision, they have achieved these incredible exits and valuations that all the other brands out there look at with envy. Grüns doesn't have a revolutionary formula. Rhode doesn't either, and they exited with just 10 products. Liquid Death sells water. None of this is complicated, but it is scary. Committing to one person, one singular customer avatar, means giving up everyone else. And when growth is flat, it feels like the last thing that you can afford. It's also why the ones who do really well are worth $1 billion. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that in the next video. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and welcome to this new setting. I am here at my dining room table. Thought it might be fun to welcome you into a different part of my home. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.